Welcome to the Deepers Creepers podcast, where we like to get high and talk about horror movies. I'm Casey.
And I'm Jess. And this week we're going to be covering Silent House, which is a movie from 2012, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, me too. It, starring Elizabeth Olsen. She is incredible. Why do I have 2013 written down?
I don't know. One of us is right. It's probably her.
One of us is wrong. It's probably me. So we disagree on that too. I don't...
We agree on a lot of things, I promise.
Yeah. So Silent House. I learned about this movie, like, in the last year because a friend of the podcast, Zach, who was on previous episode, Taking of Deborah Logan.
The loud one.
The real loud one, love you. He showed me this. I went over to his house one time, and he showed this to me, and I was absolutely blown away by not only this movie, but the twist at the end, and above all, Elizabeth Olsen's performance.
She was incredible.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've always been a big fan of the Olsen sisters. The twins, all of them.
The twins, Basil. Twins.
So yeah, I wanted to give a little shout out to Zach for showing this to me. I love this movie. It's great. I mean, that's going to be our initial, little say thing. It's not new, so we're not going to give a spoiler free. That's pretty much all I can say at the beginning. Go watch this movie if you can.
Yeah. I've never heard of it until Casey brought it up that she wanted to watch it for the podcast, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then the second it started, I was like, oh, I'm already really into this movie.
And when Zach pitched the movie to me when we were at his house, he's like, oh, hey, you should watch Silent House. And the way he pitched it to me is it's a 97-minute movie. I think it's around 97 minutes. That is shot in real time, all in one take. And it's not technically shot in one take, but the movie is completely filmed, shot like that, so that you are going on this journey in real time. There are no cuts, there are no time cuts. The hour and a half that this movie takes place over is the hour and a half you're watching.
Yeah. It's so cool.
And apparently it's apparently it is a remake of 2000 something film, or a 1990s film from Uruguay. So it's kind of a remake. But I guess rather than going straight from the source material, the director, I don't have them written down, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad. The director of this movie, director and screenwriter, she watched the other one a couple times and just kind of wrote her own based on that, rather than getting, because a lot of remakes, you get the script.
Right.
And you're writing it based on that. The other director, she is the main screenwriter, other than the original screenplay, who, of course, they have to attribute to. The other director, the only other movie he directed was... Hold on, what was it? You have your phone on you?
I do.
Because it was a movie that I was like, oh god, I fucking hate this movie. So I was very surprised. I'm gonna vamp for a little bit. Anyway, I just thought it was a really cool concept when he told me that. So I was like, yes, I am so on board. Definitely lived up to my expectations as far as that's concerned. Elizabeth Olsen is incredible. And
we were both wrong. It's 2011.
We're dumbasses.
You're so stupid.
It's probably one of those things where it's got one release year for the International Film Festival that it was released at, one released for international, one US release, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, when I rented it on Amazon, it said 2012. So Amazon, Jeff Bezos, you lied to me. I'm sure you are, you piece of shit. Anyways.
So Chris Kintis is the director of this. And the only other movie that he did help direct Grind and a couple other ones, but the only other one that I know of and is notable for this channel, he directed Open Water.
Okay.
Hands down one of the worst horror movies, and that is a stay tuned and a half.
Oh no.
Twitter voted for the shitty campy movies as y'all's favorite for us to cover, and let me tell you about a shitty movie called Open Water, where two people tread the ocean for an hour and a half. And you've seen it, I assume. No?
No.
Oh,
but I've heard a lot of things about it.
It's notoriously bad. So it's just kind of shocking that this guy also directed this movie. Yes, of course, the script and story has a lot to do with it, but the way they filmed it is obviously very experimental and kind of weird, and it's not something that I've ever seen before. Something that clearly doesn't happen very often. So just like, kudos to that guy for, doing that. And I remember Open Water being really shitty. I watched it as a kid. It's probably still a really shitty movie, but maybe it's shot really well. I don't know. Like, the script being really shitty and it being a really bad story is not the fault of the director necessarily.
Right.
They don't have as much creative input as with some kind of stuff.
I guess we'll
unless you're a writer, director, Ari Aster or something like that. You know what I mean? Where you're like, you made this shit.
Right. This is your universe and we're just living in it.
Yes. So we're going to get into the plot. It's a very simple plot. But we're going to talk about some cool stuff and some trigger warning stuff.
100%.
I will definitely put that up front because the end of this is a little hard. Just, and I feel like we cover that a lot on this channel.
It's hard to talk about the genre of horror without having these triggering experiences, because truly, what is more horrifying than sexual assault or assault on a minor, things of that nature, which is going to be kind of covered in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a way that is like in your face and offensive, but definitely in a way that's very unsettling, and it can be very hard to watch for some people. So
very
I think
disturbing.
It's really important that we put that in.
Yeah.
So this is not, if you're not in a state to hear about anything like that, we understand if this is an episode you need to skip.
Absolutely. And we said, this is something that it's hard to cover the genre without covering this kind of thing, especially considering Jess and I are very strong, outspoken women. And so we tend to migrate toward movies with very strong female characters. That's just, it's not the only thing I love, because I love shitty slashers that are like
the bimbo.
Yeah, I love it. But, I also just tend to gravitate toward very strong women.
Yeah.
Obviously, look at, one of my best friends.
And look at mine.
And but I also think that for some people it might be a little easier, rather than watching the movie, to hear someone talk about it, because you can always skip over those few parts of the podcast that we talk about it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There are a total of, and if you don't mind keeping up the IMDb, just so we can shout out the actors, you know how I am, and I forgot to write them all down.
Don't mind, I'm just gonna give you my phone.
That's fine. There are very few actors in this movie. There are only 3 actual people in the entire movie. There are only 3 actual characters. There is one, and then there are 3 ghost characters.
Yeah.
Is what we'll call them. So obviously we said Elizabeth Olsen. She's incredible. Most people know her as the Scarlet Witch from Marvel. She had that WandaVision show. She is huge. This was like her breakout role.
In 2011, 2012, 2013, whenever the fuck.
She looks so young. Oh my god.
She does. She looks amazing.
She does.
I love her. I loved her character. I really... God, this movie... The opening scene, it just... You kind of realize what you're getting into when you first start this movie, because it's weird, shaky camera movements, and it's like we're like in the room, like watching her, and it's, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, how would you describe like the camera movements?
It's first, it definitely acts as another character in the film. It is 100% point of view shot. The camera is almost on her shoulder sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely point of view.
One of the things about this movie, and movies in general, so when you're watching a film, normally your protagonist, your lead character, that is that's your narrator, and you have to accept their reality as truth, because that's all you know. And when they are an unreliable narrator, you are not seeing the world as it really is, and that is the case in this movie. And this movie is to the extreme. We only have one point of view in this entire movie. You do not get a single moment that does not have Elizabeth Olsen in the scene. like, in every single shot of the movie.
Yeah.
You don't get a single moment without her, so you don't get a moment outside of her head. And that is one of the things that make this movie so interesting. And so, yeah, that shaky cam is a little... It might set some people off. It is definitely not found footage style. It's definitely not that. But it is a constantly moving camera. It is a dozen or so people behind Elizabeth Olsen in every shot, following her with loads of equipment. And, I mean, shout out to the entire production team for making that fact, like, forgettable. Like, when you're watching the movie, I forget that there is a team of people following her around with equipment in her face, because that camera, you're just... Because it is almost always such a close-up on Elizabeth Olsen, she is right here, in frame for the entire movie. You are forced to be right here with her.
Yeah.
And
I felt like I was...
everything right there at face value.
Yeah, at points you feel like you are her and you're seeing things from her perspective, especially when it's kind of shot right over her shoulder.
It's like the camera's right here. Almost.
Yeah, it truly is.
It's unsettling.
It reminds me a lot of some of my favorite horror video games. Which is, I love horror movies. Obviously, we're here. But if you know me, you know something about me is I really cannot play horror video games. They fucking stress me out. I love watching people play them. So,
you should come watch me play Subnautica. It's my favorite.
I don't know what Nautica is.
Subnautica. You crash land on an alien planet and it's all water. So you're, like, underwater, and you're trying to collect resources to build things to survive, and also not get killed by giant Reaper Leviathans.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
It's amazing. I love that fucking game. I can't wait to finish it and buy Subnautica Below Zero, or Sub-Zero, or whatever it's called. Yeah. Anyway, I just want to shout out some people really quick, just because a lot of people go into making a movie, and I would like to be able to shout them out. So, obviously, Elizabeth Olsen, her dad is played by Adam Treese. Peter, her uncle, is played by Eric Sheffer-Stevens. Sophia, who, love her, is played by Julian Chan. And then I just want to shout out, hold on, whoever did the... Rochelle Berliner. I doubt you listened to this, but production design on this fucking movie is incredible. Because this whole movie feels like you are in a house that is being renovated. And we are, this entire movie. That is the premise. She is running around what she believes is a home being invaded by either people or ghosts. And she's literally just running around a house in the dark, hiding underneath tables and in closets and trying to get out. And it's weird.
It's really weird, yeah.
And you kind of, especially for the second half, have to suspend reality a little bit, I would say. Just because it's a lot more about atmosphere and being in the house, and less so than progressing a story forward, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
It's an experimental film for sure, but it also has a pretty cool storyline and what I would say is a cool twist.
I absolutely agree with you. I loved the twist. I
was grossed out.
I was incredibly uncomfortable from the very start, and I think that is just from, like, being so in touch with my own feelings and just having seen so many movies and so many stories of things similar to this, which obviously I'm not going to spoil it right now. We'll get into it, but there was just a level of uncomfort for me very on in the movie, and I really didn't know what to expect. So I was pleasantly surprised with the twist, not the content material of the twist, but I think it really did help us understand the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, I think it brought the whole thing together. I was
going to say, like you said, we're in this house that the family owned. Mm-hmm. They're trying to renovate it so they can sell it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they haven't been there in quite some time. And the movie starts as like an overhead shot. She is like on this rocky beach, and it starts overhead and kind of swoops down with her and then follows her into the house. So like we said, this is all shot in real time. In reality, they shot in like 12 to 15 minute segments. And every once in a while, the camera will pass through like a dark area, or the lights will completely go out, where it's very easy to hide cuts in post-production. But you're not cutting as far as the story goes.
Right.
When those lights go out, you're still just right there with her. Which, again, very cool. And that's one of the that's one of the things that truly unsettles you in this movie. And because when you're in a really tense scene in a horror movie, you're waiting for the camera to cut so that the tenseness stops and the thing jumps out or slams or the loud noise happens, the jump scare happens. That's, it's when somebody, it pans one way and then it comes back and something's there.
Mm-hmm.
This movie doesn't cut. There are no cuts. There's one camera. There are not multiple angles of every scene. It's not cutting back and forth between. You don't cut away from anything. Mm-hmm. And so all that tenseness you feel just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and there's no release until the end of the movie.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It just starts here and it just goes up and up and up the entire time.
And then it just ends.
Yeah. It's like the most crazy roller coaster, except you never go down. You're just continually going up and up and up, and it's like, holy fuck, what's going on?
And then
why can't I breathe?
And then they just leave you at the top, and you're like, okay,
I'm scared.
So yeah, we track her going into this house. All the windows are boarded up because I guess they got like vandalized by some people.
Vandals.
So when you go, your friendly neighborhood vandals. So when they go in the house, it's completely pitch black because all the windows have boards on them. Mm-hmm. And so you're just walking through a dark ass house and they all have like lanterns. And that's one of the really cool things is the lighting in this movie is amazing.
Yes.
It's so creepy. It's very minimal. They obviously didn't have much to work with. It's creepy.
I mean, they have, like, flashlights and lanterns, like, the old school lanterns that I remember my family would use. I say old school. I was born in 94, but you know what I mean. But, like, the lanterns, like, the glass lanterns that you take the glass off and you, like, twist the wick up and you light them. Like, we used to use those during storms.
Yeah.
To, like, go to the bathroom or, like, if the power went out. Like,
that's
we
part
use
of the
those
Midwest.
all the time.
Power goes out sometimes.
Yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, between, like, the candles and the lanterns and the occasional use of a flashlight, like, this movie is really dark. And it's
very dark.
Unsettling.
Yeah, agreed. It very much reminded me of the newish movie, Bodies, 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 which had some really cool lighting techniques because they're also in a house with no power and all the characters were lighting themselves individually. And, I mean, that's just another added thing of people running behind Elizabeth Olsen trying to light her with things.
Yeah. I immediately thought that Uncle Peter was creepy.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he like stops and he looks at her and he's like something about like how he can't believe she's grown to be such like a beautiful young woman.
Yeah.
And it was just like the way he said it. And like I said, I'm very sensitive to those things in movies and I can tell like this is going to be a theme.
One of them called her princess, like, immediately. And I don't even remember who it was.
I think it was the dad.
I think so, but, like, she's an adult. Don't call her princess.
Yeah.
That's weird.
But they're, walking around this house, checking out the damages. There's mold in the walls. So they're just trying to figure out, like, okay, how deep of a problem are we in here? Yeah. And, we get a knock on the door.
Yes. And you can tell, like, right from the beginning, the brothers' relationship is
rocky.
Very rocky, very, like, it's tense. It's not like regular sibling rivalry or bickering. It's very, like, there's some undertones where you're like, what is really going on? Because one of them will say something that's like, oh, yeah. And later you'll kind of find out why they should hate each other, but also they should hate themselves.
100%. But, yeah, so does Sophia knock on the door? Is it before or after Uncle Peter leaves?
I think Peter leaves, and then Sophia knocks on the door, and,
Yeah, Peter was going to get some sort of supplies or do something in town. It's really not that important.
Yeah, so he leaves for a bit. She goes outside. Her friend is there. She's like, oh, we used to play together when we were younger. I can't believe you don't remember me.
Yeah, how could you forget?
Yeah, we went through so much together. Anyway, so she, she's like, I'm so glad to see you. And you can tell Elizabeth Olsen's character is Sarah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can tell Sarah's just very uncomfortable, doesn't really remember, is just kind of playing it off like, oh, yeah, of course. Like, that's awesome. Let's get a drink or something later. And the friend is being really sketchy and weird and like, yeah, okay, see you soon. And just like very, like she's kind of like wandering around the porch. It's really interesting, the way that all the characters move, because it is so much like a dance with the camera, because there's like these big columns on the porch.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like weaving in and out, and like the way the camera is, and since you don't cut away, sometimes you're literally seeing one of the characters like disappear behind the wood for a minute to reappear. It's very, very intentionally shot.
Yeah.
This is not just taking any random story or script and saying, oh, what if we shot it all in real time? This is a story that deserves that treatment and that makes sense to do that kind of shoot with.
Right.
This isn't just some random, ooh, let's experiment with this and throw this in. Yes, it is an experiment, but it's very purposeful. It's not just thrown in to be like, ooh, this would be cool and artsy. It's like, no, this is this woman. And when Sarah first walks from the beach and starts to get up to the house, actually, I think it's when she first gets in the house with like the lantern, you can kind of see this like, she almost disassociates for a minute. Her eyes kind of glaze over. And to me, I think it's like the moment she kind of cracks. Because not long after that is when Sophie shows up and all the things start happening.
Yep.
I don't remember where I was going with this. But yeah, it's a very intentionally, this woman is going through an actual psychotic break, and you are going through it with her beat by beat by beat until she resolves it in the end. And yeah, it's not just thrown in there randomly. I think it's very intentional and makes so much sense with what happens in the movie.
Yeah. And so next Sophia gets on her bike, she rides away, and we are brought back inside the house where there's a very intentional scene of Elizabeth Olsen locking the door and putting the key back right next to, there's like, it's like on the light fixture or something, like right next to the door. So we know, I know they made it a very important point to notice that that's where the key was. And like I said, the uncle had left, and then the dad was downstairs in the basement. That's where he was working on things at the moment. But Elizabeth Olsen's character starts to hear something upstairs.
Mm-hmm. Right before she hears something upstairs. So her dad had been drinking liquor, and there is a very pointed shot of her opening a can of beer. Mm-hmm. The cans of beer come back later. And because I was trying to kind of figure out her age through the beginning of this, I was like, well, she must be at least 21.
I knew she was a young adult. I thought she was like early 20s.
That's kind of what I figured too, because she is still close to her dad, but she definitely isn't, like, she's definitely an adult, an autonomous adult. I can tell she doesn't live, with him, but...
Yeah. But she does, like, work for her dad.
Yes, yeah. So then, she does start hearing, like, she hears, like, a loud bang, some weird noises, and then her dad comes around, she's like, hey, we should leave. There's people upstairs. Let's go. And, of course...
Gaslighting.
I will give Jess a prize if she can go one whole episode without saying that word.
I will give men a prize if they can go one fucking movie without gaslighting.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yep. You're right. Damn. All right.
Anyways.
So, and of course, like, in a normal set, like, situation, she's gonna be scared anyway because no one's supposed to be upstairs. But then also, didn't people just break into your house recently and bust up all the windows?
Right.
Don't you think it's very likely someone's upstairs?
Like squatters,
But this dad's like, no.
No.
You're dumb.
You dumb little girl.
You're done. Yeah, so he goes and looks upstairs. She's looking upstairs. There is a lot of very long, very quiet scenes of her walking around this house. And call it boring if you want. Somebody might find it boring. I found it very tense and nerve-wracking.
Absolutely.
Because you're just waiting for the ball to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't until the very end.
Right. But we get a scene where we're taken into the bedroom, and there are these... The dad goes in first, and there are these Polaroids on the bed, and he picks them up, and his face, you can tell that there's something that he does not want anyone to see.
He snatches them up so fast.
So fast.
And she's like, what are those? Nothing. And you can tell he's really trying to play it off, but yeah, that actor's face, it was like the look of, oh God. Just
someone
that, like,
else has seen these.
Yes. Someone put these here. And
purposefully.
What the fuck is happening? Why? And of course, we don't know what they are, but there's something going on.
Mm-hmm.
She just kind of ignores it, passes it off. He says something about insurance photos, because they had been taking pictures of, like, damage and things that had happened to the house so that they could, because they're obviously fixing it up. So he's like, oh, no, it's insurance photos.
And, like, why would, like...
Why would they be... They were,
why
like,
would your dad
spread
lie
out
to
on
you,
the
you know,
pillow.
in that sense, like...
True.
So we're still on the mind frame of, like, her dad's a good guy, like, what could it be? Maybe he was protecting her from something. So we don't really know what to think yet. So I was just like, maybe it was something scary in the house that, like, he didn't want her to see or freak her out, you know? So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely avoids the issue.
But then...
Oh, there's this really cool... So, like, they hear some more noises. I think it's around here. And he, like, walks away at one point. One of my favorite shots of the whole fucking movie. And we're kind of in the position... We're kind of in Sarah's position, like, right where she is, seeing exactly what she would see. The dad walks out of one of the doors, and you can hear the sound traveling as his footsteps go across down the hall this way, like down where the wall, because we're just following along a blank wall. Mm-hmm. But you can, like, hear the sound traveling, and then it, like, pans back over, and there's this loud slam, like, big jump scare.
Oh my goodness.
Scared the bejesus out of me.
Oh, I think I screamed out loud.
Yeah.
I really think I went, ah! Or, oh, Jesus fuck. Yeah. Oh, Jesus fuck is, like, my go-to. I don't know. It just comes out. Oh, Jesus fuck. Or, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Sorry. Sorry to anyone who loves Jesus.
Sorry. But yeah, just, like, something as simple as a little jump scare like that is just so effective and cool. And, another thing about, like, the production, there's these boxes just stacked everywhere. It looks like a house where someone's moving stuff out, and, it looks very lived in, and it gives so many, like, you're not just in a room like this. Like, this is not the production design. It's almost like a maze of boxes and things to trip over and hide behind and hide under. And it makes every set and every scene that much more interesting, because it's not just an open area.
Absolutely.
It's an area full of crap that people have left behind in this house, and now the owners have to deal with.
Craps and traps, you know?
Poops and shoops. Sorry.
Sheets and teats. Anyways.
So Sarah hears that noise. She's like, fuck this. She starts running downstairs. She tries to open the front door. Front door's locked. Key's gone.
Yes.
Ooh.
Where did it go?
And then she runs to the back door. Back door bolted. No key.
Oh, yeah. Like, absolutely, like, locked the fuck in this house.
She's, like, pulling at the plywood on the windows. That's not working. So she's screwed. So she's, like, I think right now she's, like, running around the house, calling for her dad, trying to figure out where he is, trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. We're hearing all these weird noises. We're seeing shadows run around.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's starting to get real fucking creepy. And then, she's, like, in one of the rooms or something, and then her dad's body just, like, falls on top of her.
Yeah, I assumed he was dead.
I also thought he was dead.
I said found her dead, and then I put a little carrot and said almost.
I wrote dead body fell on her. Dad's still alive, actually.
I was like, this scene is heart-wrenching. Because her acting, it was just truly devastating.
She's like, what did they do to you? Like, his head is all, like, mashed in a little, and he's all bloody.
And I'm not even going to make a joke about it because I do it enough, but, like, as a person who's lost a parent or two, I didn't mean to make that joke, okay? But as a person who's lost a parent, I know how heart-wrenching that is, and it was I felt her pain, and I wanted to stand there with her and be with her in that moment, and I felt like we were because of the way the movie was shot, and that scene was really hard to watch.
In a lesser movie that might be cheesy, it might not play off as well, but yeah, her acting just, I mean, good job, girl.
I said, this movie gives me so much anxiety.
Yeah, Jess is getting a little PTSD.
Ooh, I'm anxious.
So she's still trying to find a way out. Yep. This is one of, I've seen a lot of complaints about this movie. It was not a huge box office hit. I didn't even hear about it. But it didn't get a really good reception. And a lot of people's complaints about it, it's a lot of running around and she blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but it's not just... You gotta focus on the camera work, the production value, the
acting.
The fact that she is right here. Like, the camera is in her face. Mm-hmm. And she is forced to, for like 12 to 15 minutes at a time, keep that energy and that anxiety and like that fear up and going for that long at a time, when in most movies for most actors it's a few seconds at a time, and then the camera cuts away and they can use 17 different takes and mash them all together to make the perfect one thing goes wrong in one of these takes, they have to start over.
Yeah.
And just like, I mean, the raw fucking talent from Elizabeth Olsen to be able to keep that energy up for these long ass fucking takes. And like, I don't understand how people can call this boring. The whole time I was like, oh my god, what's happening next? What's gonna happen next?
And of course, she does what nobody should do in a horror movie. That's go into the fucking basement. Don't go into the basement, y'all. It's never, ever, ever a good idea. We've seen Barbarian.
Unless you're Erin and you're next. And then the basement's a good idea because she's got ideas. She starts busting out those lights.
Okay, listen.
Erin's a badass.
Not everyone is an Australian survivalist. You can only go in basements if you are A, Australian, and B, a survivalist, okay? I don't make the rules.
What's that Inglourious Bastards line? It's like, there's a lot of things wrong with fighting in a basement. Number one, you're fighting in a basement.
Oh, yeah. I was like, this is for sure a murder basement. And I have a murder basement. I live in a little area that like
lives in your murder basement.
Is it a ghost?
No.
Okay, yeah, it's my friend Elijah. Yeah. Anyways, he mostly lives upstairs.
I'm sorry that she called your bedroom murder room.
He calls it that.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine.
He knows his place.
Well, then good. My old mattress fits in well.
Oh, he loves it. How many people have been murdered on that thing?
I am on camera. None.
Just the pussy. Sorry. Anyways,
well,
this is an adult program.
We just lost every follower and subscriber we have.
We're back. Please keep that in.
To this super serious movie.
Anyways, so she's in the basement.
Yes. She hides under a table, and I wrote amazing face acting, because we're just super close up on her face for a while. We're seeing kind of like legs, like of a guy. They're really creepy, and someone like grabs at her feet under the table or something, so of course she gets up and runs away. And this is when you kind of have to start suspending disbelief just a little bit to where it's like, yeah, why is she continuing to run around? But also just fucking deal with it and go along on the journey it's taking you.
Yeah, I wrote, holy shit, the basement scene was so intense I didn't even breathe.
Yes, literally so fucking intense.
And it literally looks like someone is living in the basement.
Yeah. Oh, it does. That's the thing. This whole production looks so fucking lived in.
Yeah, you don't know if like they're like the person in this house, like we said, is a supernatural being, a physical being, because like we're seeing them.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing them essentially like through her eyes. So
But we also know that nothing has physically happened, so you're like, is there someone there? We're still very much, you really don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But in this moment, it is so, you're like, I mean, you know you're only halfway through the movie-ish, and she sees a light, she gets out of the fucking house, and you're like, wait, you're out of the house. And then you're suddenly reminded, oh wait, it's still daytime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's dark as shit in the house because there are no fucking windows.
Yeah.
And so she gets out and she fucking runs. Like, we're all like, oh shit, she's out of the house.
Yeah. I was like, it's too early. What's
Way
going
too early.
on?
She sees a little girl standing in some grass, and then the little girl disappears.
Yeah. I forgot about that part.
And then Peter rolls up. Uncle Peter. He rolls up in his truck, and she's like, someone killed Dad.
And he's like, I'm going to go back in and check it out. It's like, why? She told you he's dead. I mean, we know he's not now, but...
Well, she knows he's not dead, but she's like, we need to go get help and bring them back.
Yeah.
I don't want you going back in the house. I don't want to go back in the house.
And he fucking left her locked in the truck.
This is the scariest part of the movie.
With no keys.
Yeah, why did you take the keys? So...
This is really scary. Yeah.
Yes, this part was so fucking scary. It is... I love when somebody can make something very, very simple and innocuous and not supposed to be scary in retrospect or in that second very frightening. So what happens is he's like, I'm going to go in the house. I'm going to look. It's going to be fine. You stay here. I'm locking all the doors. He gets in the hatchback at one point, closes it, and is doing all, locks all the doors, runs back in the house to get the dad, John, and the camera is like, it pans to her face and then to the back of the car, and the hatch is closed, and then it like pans so slowly back around to the very front panel of the car, and it's like a newer car, and so there's this like little screen up at the, like this little thing, and it just says, trunk open. And then it's slow, excruciatingly slow, pans back around to the open, and you can like, it's very blurred because you're still looking at her, but you're looking through the truck to like, through the car to the back, and you can see that it's open, and then she finally notices and starts screaming and freaking out.
I would do the same.
It's chilling when you get that little trunk open, and then it like slowly, just like, in a normal movie, it would cut back to the trunk being open, but you just have this like nail biting, like, oh god, please notice, please no one be there at the, and of course no one's back. Is someone standing back there? Someone is. Someone starts getting in the car and she starts freaking out.
At this point I was like, is the girl she saw in the beginning a ghost? Like, I'm trying to like, at this point is when I start kind of really piecing things together,
because things are getting very surreal and weird and just strange. It's starting to, you're starting to like be like, okay, are these people real? Like, what's actually going on? Mm-hmm. Is someone just fucking with her? Whatever.
Yeah, I was like, why do men always want to open the door? I don't know what that was about. I'm sure Uncle Peter wanted to open a door somewhere.
Who knows? And then, so Peter can't find the dad, but then Peter finds the pictures, the Polaroid pictures. And she's like, what is that? He's like, it's nothing. And then we're like, oh
okay, God. Something happened.
Something fucking happened. He's like, it's just garbage. And, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was like, what are the Polaroids? Is Uncle Peter a pedo creep? And then I was like, then we realize, what's on the Polaroids finally. Don't we?
No,
that's later. Sorry.
It's like
But
the end.
oh yeah, sorry. I did say, what I wrote down is, she did say when she was talking to Sophia early in the movie that she blacked out a lot of her childhood.
Yes.
Which I wrote down, trauma, question mark?
Yeah.
Because that would, yeah, this is before we knew what was on the Polaroids, I'm sorry. But I did write that down because I made that connection. I was like, that would make sense as to why she didn't remember that girl and why she didn't, like, you know... Yeah. I was just trying to put things together, and I was like, okay, this is something that affects her as a child. Like, I can just tell.
And this is when they start to give you those clues as to what's really going on, because she runs, she is, like, using this flash, this camera flash to, like, light up some areas of the house, which I always love that. You know, I remember it in Saw. That was, like, one of my favorite things, the very first one. But, so something scares her. She gets under what I think it looked like a pool table or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's hiding underneath it. And we see, like, these man legs walking toward the table. And we assume they're walking toward her to, like, you know, get under the table to get her. And then we hear, like, a glass clinking. Kind of sounds like alcohol and ice in a glass.
Whiskey on the rocks.
Yep. And we hear a man's voice say, "That's good, just like that." And things like that. And then we see another guy's legs. And then one of the guys helps a little girl in a tutu off the table that Sarah is underneath. And they walk out of the room. And that's when, as the audience, you're like... the fuck is going on?
100%. Yeah.
This is
this
like, is the epitome of the ghosts of someone's past coming to haunt them.
Yeah.
Literally.
It was...
in the most literal sense.
It was really sad.
She sees her uncle's body being dragged.
Yep.
When does she get a gun?
I don't remember.
Because at one point she's shooting at some body that's coming at her point blank, and she misses every single shot. It's because they're not there.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. But we already said that. There's only 3 real people in this entire film. John, Peter, Sarah.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a figment of Sarah's imagination.
Yeah.
Of Sarah's trauma.
At this point, you know, I think we in the audience finally realized that that is the case.
She's running around. She's hiding under a lot of stuff. We get a shot of a little girl in a tub. There's beer cans around her.
Oh, yeah. A bleeding toilet, bathtub with bottles of alcohol and blood. I was like, lots of... This is where the implications come in that are very...
Yes. This is when you start... You're like, oh, little girl in a tub, trauma... 2 men. Okay, 2 men with a camera and Polaroids. I'm starting to get the picture. I'm starting to get the very disgusting, sad picture that this movie is painting for me. And it's exactly what you think it is. It is Sarah. And, you know, Sophia does appear at this point and starts talking to her. And we learn Sophia is Sarah's alter ego, basically. There's this really fucking cool shot where Sarah is, like, hiding behind something and someone is dragging her dad's body in, and then it slowly transitions into her dragging the body in. Mm-hmm. And then she, like, kind of comes to and she's like, oh shit, what am I doing? So Sophia's talking to her. This is when we realize, Sarah, through her trauma, blacked out, what happened to her. And being back in the place that it happened, something snapped, and she's been the one doing everything the entire time.
Yeah.
She has created ghosts and, figments to deal with the trauma, to not have to face it, to protect her own sanity, to protect her own innocence. Her mind is creating an outside force to protect herself.
Yeah, as a way of escape.
Yes.
And after, you know, she drags her dad in, we see, like, him tied up under a plastic tarp, and that's when we find the box containing the Polaroids.
And yeah, the key that she has, she, like, is trying to use it on the door, and Sophia goes, that's not the key to this door. That's not the way out. And Sarah looks at the key, and she looks at the box, and she opens the box. It's got the Polaroids in it. We don't see them. Luckily, we don't need to.
Absolutely.
I know it's on them.
Yeah, I'm happy. I think it would have ruined a lot of the movie for me if we had seen anything.
Yep. So she sees the little girl kind of like as her reflection. This is when she sees the body kind of being drug in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then her dad is trying to, at that point, he's starting to come to.
Yep. And then, oh God, one of the lines that Sophie says, I think it's what Sarah says when she's like starting to kind of come back and realize what she's doing, and she's like, I think talking to the dad, she says, you have to be quiet or you're gonna wake up mommy. The dad tries to talk his way out of it, and oh my God, yeah, because then she like
made the mistake of trusting him.
Yeah, she's like, her brain kind of snaps again. She's like, shit, what am I doing? And she unties him. He immediately, of course, hits her.
Yeah.
And
with a belt.
Yeah.
He like took his belt off like a fucking. It's disgusting.
We get some goddamn vindication though, with a fucking sledgehammer.
Hell yeah, we do. I said, yas, kill him.
Squishy.
It was good.
It's very. Have you seen Midsommar when that guy, and then they got a. Very much like that.
We didn't rehearse that.
We really didn't. It was great. Yeah. It just, and you're still like in all of this. You're just like reeling from all of this information, and yeah, she sledgehammers him. And then she takes the front door key out of his pocket and walks the fuck out.
And, the uncle is still there.
I like to think she killed him.
I hope she killed him.
And we just didn't see it.
Yeah. I was like, I would burn that burn it to the ground.
Yeah,
absolutely. That place does not need to exist.
Yeah. And, again, even at the very, very end, we are not cutting from her perspective. We are not given an ounce of relief from being inside Sarah's head and seeing through her eyes. You don't get anything else. You don't even get that ending of seeing the uncle still in the house, alive or dead, or get any answers, or, whatever. The movie just ends.
Yeah.
And, she got her vengeance, but, still happened to her.
Before I had started putting every piece together and really understood the movie, because I don't even think I really fully grasped exactly what was happening until I sat and thought about it after I watched it. But while I was watching it, I kind of thought that Sophia was a friend of hers that her dad had hurt as well. Until, we see, the scene of Sophia dragging the body and then it becomes her.
I think she is still. I think Sophia, or Sophia's ghost, the imagination of her ghost or whatever, I think that girl was one of the little girls that was Sarah's friend, that was probably hurt just like her by her uncle and dad. Obviously, the real Sophia's not there, but I do believe that Sophia as a person did exist when she was a little kid with Sarah.
Do you think maybe they killed her and that's why her ghost hit her somewhere? This is obviously theorizing. Yeah. We don't know, but...
See, I don't know about that just because the other ghosts aren't real. But I do think they all represent something very important for her. She is using she's seeing the scary guy ghost with the scary gray face everywhere throughout the house. And that is her, the representation of herself doing all these things. She's using, her brain is using this ghost or this, figment as a way to, well, it's not me. I'm not the one doing the bad thing. It's this ghost thing that's chasing me around. And she has, the little girl that she's seeing this is the little girl that's being traumatized. This is the little girl that something has happened to this little girl.
Yeah.
It wasn't me though. That's that little girl. It's separating herself from the trauma itself and from the events. and then using Sophia as that third figment as her remembering it and accepting the trauma that happened, but as someone completely different. It's Sophia can accept that. It happened to Sophia. It didn't happen to me.
Right.
And we're seeing throughout the movie her not only find the literal ghosts of her own past, but come to terms with them and meld with them essentially, and like accept it and hopefully move on and get a good have a nice life, but we don't know.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Thank you, Zach, for recommending it.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes. Thank you so much for showing it to me. Yeah, just very, very cool. Incredibly hard to hold up a movie like that completely on your own. And I want to say she was probably in her early 20s. So just like kudos to her, kudos to the whole cast.
Yeah.
Man, I just really love Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, I think I want to see her in more now.
Yeah, can we please see her in more horror? I mean,
it was a long time ago.
Marvel stole her. So, I don't really know. Although, okay, I don't know anything about Marvel, but is her character dead? I want to say her character's dead. Maybe not. I don't know. A lot of the Avengers died, I think. Iron Man's dead. Spider-Man's dead. Candyman's dead.
That one I'm sad about.
Me. Anyway,
Anyways.
yes, so this was very fun. Next week, let's see, this will come out on Friday, so next week is my birthday. Yay! I'm getting old.
Even though I'm older than you.
Whatever.
Shit, I forgot about that.
Whatever. If you ever feel old, just think about my boyfriend. Sorry, Jeff. Anyway,
we love you.
So we're going to do a fun little game episode next week. I'm going to torture Jess with it, but it's going to be so much fun. And
I'm going to do horribly.
She's going to do great. But also I have no frame of reference for how hard this is going to be because I haven't tested it on anybody, so I don't really know. But it's going to be awesome.
We're going to have a lot of fun.
I am so fucking excited. So that's going to be a game episode, and then the week after that, I think we're going to do one missed call. Because
we need a dumb one.
Yes, I love doing dumb movies, and it is a dumb fucking movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, what, mid-2000s? Yeah, it's been a long time. So I'm really looking forward to revisiting it.
It's in that era of J-horror remakes, and yeah.
Oh, on this subject, I didn't tell you that we did a horror trivia at my job, and I paired up with one of my friends while I was bartending, and we fucking won horror trivia. And one of the questions was the Supernatural brothers, what they did, how they both did a horror remake of 80s horror in the same year. What were those remakes? And because we just talked about it,
that's amazing.
That's how I knew.
That is amazing.
Fucking won.
In case anyone is wondering, it is Friday the 13th and My Bloody Valentine, both released in 2009.
And My Bloody Valentine was released in 3D.
And it was really bad.
Really bad. But anyways, I just thought you'd appreciate that. Guys, I won a horror trivia. And I would have been really... Last time we got last place.
Listen,
don't take my horror card away.
On next week's episode, there are going to be prizes that she can win. So,
okay, yeah. This is news to me.
Yeah.
There are prizes.
And they're really good. So, I can't wait.
Oh my god, this is genuine. I had no idea about the prizes.
I'm so excited. Okay. Well, we love you all. Make sure you follow us on social media at Deepers Creepers on Twitter and Instagram. Email us at deeperscreeperspod@gmail.com. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and like our video and share it.
And comment on it.
And comment. Oh my god, we've gotten the cutest freaking comments. I love you, Daryl, so much. You're such an angel.
I love you, Daryl.
She's the sweetest.
Isn't she?
She really is. Anyway, until next time, stay
spooky.
Bye. That'll be fun to edit out. Just my big old butt.
Why do we gotta edit it out?
See?
Almost.
I mean, if you hadn't caught me.
Oh, girl. I was not ready. Can we put that in at the end?
Yes.
Okay,
I will
good.
absolutely put that in at the very end. Just me falling like a fucking moron.
Oh, I love it. It's okay. This is what the people want.
This is what the people want. You're right.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. All right.
Back to it.
Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Okay.